Hey guys, hey, it's jackpunkington here. So today, as you can see, I've got things changed a little bit. Trying a new format for audio recording of doing reviews of albums. This week we're taking a look at No Skull, Fields of None. No Skull is I want to put them in the doom metal category, but they have more like psychedelic stuff, which in itself is kind of doomy too. From Lansing, Michigan, they're a 3-piece band, and they kill it live. A little backstory: Aya played a show with them 2 years ago now, actually, because it was in December of 2022, December or November. They had filled in for us. We had a band drop out literally the day, I think, before the show, and I had reached out to the person running the show and said, hey, this band had to drop out for whatever reason. And she had said, hey, get a hold of this band. They've been trying to play here. It was Mulligan's Pub in Grand Rapids. One of the best sound systems and best sound guys, Will, up there. He's amazing. I've ever, dealt with. And she said, reach out to No Skull. They've been trying to get out here. So that night I said, hey, my name is Jack Punkington. I'm a guitar player for the band. As your attorney, we're playing a show at Mulligan's. We had a band drop out. We need someone to fill in. And the promoter said, you guys are trying to get out here. Do you want to do a show tomorrow night? And I think 5 minutes later, they're like, yeah, let's do it. There was no hesitation. They were like, we want to do a show. And so the next day, I'm on the way to the show, and me and my fiance, whenever we were on our way to a show, we would listen to the bands that we're playing with. Whether we knew their music or not, we wanted to jam out, especially if we liked them, And I hadn't heard No Skull. I was like, well, let's check them out. And within, the first song, I was like, yes, this band is awesome. They have a very similar vibe. I get to, Orange Goblin and, Red Fang, The Sword, and Sleep. All those, doom, groove metal kind of bands. And they look and act the part too, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's when we pulled up and we're loading in, they came in. They I had opened the door for them, I think, and they walked in with orange amps or not orange amps, orange cabs, and then both the guitar player and the bass player just pull out with Sun Beta leads. So, yep, they know what they're doing. They're going to sound awesome and I don't mean that because gear matters, because realistically, if you're a good enough musician, gear doesn't matter. However, they gave me the impression after hearing their music, and I was like, they're solid, giving me the impression of not only do they know what they're doing, they know the gearhead fan base for this band they're right in the pocket of using orange amps. And I mean, the Sun Beta lead, made popular by Red Fang, is the quintessential stoner metal, doom metal amp. Sorry, my microphone's slipping. Along with orange amps. And then the guitar player opens up his case, and it's just a white Gibson Flying V with a vibrola on it. And it's just covered in stickers. It's like, this band's going to be great. This band's going to be awesome. And they played a hell of a show. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to command the crowd. And I was hooked. And so 6 months later, when Aya played their last show with a band called The Rueful Noise, who have an album coming out on June 1st, I believe. And when it does, you bet I will be reviewing that, because as I feel No Skull is the quintessential modern stoner doom metal band, I think that a Rueful Noise is the quintessential modern gothic rock band. So we'll get into that review later. But I was like, I don't care what I'm doing that day. I'm going to that concert. It was a free show in Lansing at the Avenue, which has the best ramen I've had ever. I was like, I don't care. I'm going, and it was an amazing show. They also played with a band called Bloody Butterflies, and it was a 2-piece band that unfortunately it was their last show. Which no, it wasn't. I'm sorry. Shortly after that show, they had announced that they were doing like one more show, and which sucks because they were actually like a really solid instrumental band. And the cool thing is that after like everyone had played, the bands all like one member from each band did a set like collectively, and they were called Bloody or a Rueful Bloody Skull. And I was like, that's really cool and creative. And it was so fun. So anyway, getting into the actual review of the album, No Skull, Fields of None is a kind of a shorter album. It's 8 different tracks. And I feel like that's just a common thing with like stoner / doom, because the songs are a lot longer. Most rock metal songs are probably 3 to 4 minutes. And all of these songs, I think the shortest song on here is 3 minutes and 15 seconds, and it's an instrumental with like really crazy psychedelic like stuff and like talking in the background, just like normal person talking, and I love that. I love it when bands do that, or if like they have a song and at the end of it you just hear like, yeah, or you hear like, oh, can we do another track or something like that. A good example of that for me is the end of Kool-Aid by Bring Me the Horizon. You can just hear Ollie like sing like the melody, and he's like, let's try something like that. I like that. I think that's a cool touch when bands do something like that. So hearing a whole track that was, short as 3 minutes of just like talking and like weird psychedelic stuff was really cool. So yeah, I will say, I think Wide Earth was the first single, and that came out in June of last year. And they did play that song, at the show that we did with them, which was 6 months before, like they actually released it. So that was kind of cool. I don't know if like we were the first, like it was the first time they were playing it. I don't know, but it was cool that like, hey, I got to hear this before a lot of other people did. And then after that was Wrong Eyes. That was the second single released, and that was released in October of last year, leading up to the April release of Fields of None, which is, I believe that came out April 6th of this year, but I could be wrong. So let me get my reading glasses on here for a second and see what their actual bio says. No Skull plays heavy jams lined up including R.K. Andrews on bass and vocals, Jason Wicks on guitar, and Dave, I'm sorry, bro, I'm not going to pronounce your last name correctly, on drums. They formed in 2016 in Lansing, Michigan. I will say a funny anecdote with that. When I went to the show with A Rueful Noise, they recognized it because I was trying to buy merch from No Skull because I really like their merch. It's one of their shirts is like it's the top of a skull from like here up, and it says No Skull on it, and it was like a blue shirt with like pinkish purple like writing, and I'm like, that's really cool. It was very pastel. And the drummer of A Rueful Noise came up and was like, hey dude, and it was like, we just saw you last week. And so like we all talked. It was super cool. And go check this album out. I honestly feel like this album is the quintessential modern stoner rock, stoner metal album. Should show like what other stoner metal groups should aspire to be. Which is interesting because the band that I am currently getting going, Proper Acts, I actually take a lot of my writing inspirations from stoner metal and like groove metal style stuff. I'm a big Sabbath guy and a big Zakk Wylde guy, along with Red Fang being one of my favorite bands. So I actually today, while listening to the album, I was out for a walk. I had to come home because I had a melody in my head that I got an idea from this album. I was like, I had to record it. And I did. And I think it sounds cool. And hopefully it turns into something. But yeah. So sorry for the rambling. That's how good is. It just makes me want to talk about this album. But yeah. Go check this album out. It is worth. You can buy the vinyl for $20. It's worth it, or you can buy the discography for $34.45. Those are all digital copies, which that's actually really cool and a really good deal. So anyway, guys, I thank you all for watching, and hope you guys like this format. If not, I can go back to where I'm just not using this. And Jack Punkington signing out. Peace, everyone.